From comic book heroes such as Martian Manhunter and Milestone's Icon to television shows like My Favorite Martian and Third Rock from the Sun, the alien among us is a well-known pop culture trope. Resident Alien may be the most interesting twist on this premise in years. Premiering on SYFY in January, it's based on a long-running comic series that none other than Alan Moore once called a pitch-perfect narrative. Crash landing, quirky small town, murder mysteries, and sly humor. Resident Alien is like Mork and Mindy, spliced with The X-Files, crossed with Northern Exposure. And did we mention the TV show stars Alan Tudyk and has lined up an all-star lineup of guest stars, including Linda Hamilton? Settle in and let us take you behind the panel on Resident Alien.
Well, you don't have anything to worry about. I'm not an alien. Unfortunately, I hear they're pretty cool.
The first thing viewers of Resident Alien will notice is that it is not your typical Alien on Earth story. That's by design, according to Peter Hogan, the writer and co-creator of the comic book which inspired the series. Hogan and co-creator Steve Parkhouse mapped out a low-key, off-kilter sci-fi story that has played out over 5 separate miniseries that have been published by Dark Horse Comics since 2011. The comic presented an alien visitor who passed his time on Earth learning all he could about his adopted new world. His obsession with mysteries jeopardizes his anonymity as he becomes more involved with the goings-on in the small town he calls home. Hogan drew his inspiration for Harry Vanderspiegel's adventures from various alien stories across pop culture.
Well, I think probably the main ones are, it's a bit of a cross between My Favorite Martian, the old TV show, and Man Who Fell to Earth. But maybe I'm just saying that because both of those were guys that got stuck here. These things are very organic, and you kind of think often, well, it's going to be, it's going to be this thing, and then it turns out not to be.
The television adaptation tweaks the premise a bit. It stars Alan Tudyk as an extraterrestrial who comes to Earth on a secret mission. He takes on the form of a doctor living in the secluded town of Patience, Colorado.
Who even are you, Harry Vanderspiegel?
Just a guy.
The alien, now known as Harry, wants to keep a low profile and continue his mission, but soon, the town sheriff asks him to help with a murder case.
We strongly believe the body washed up on the beach.
How do you know that?
Because I can feel it in my balls.
Well, and I checked the currents. So the currents and the sheriff's balls.
Currents aren't always accurate, and you shouldn't trust your balls. They're nuts.
It's a fish out of water. You hear that a lot, but in the alien terms, you got to be careful because there's that shape of water fish alien thing, and I don't want to suggest that we go there. That was perverse. Really, it was strange, and it gave me nightmares.
I don't think what I just did was normal human behavior.
Part of the comedy that's sprinkled throughout the series comes from the fact that the audience knows Harry is an alien masquerading as a human.
Somebody offers him a drink, and he says, no, the last time I drank that, I tried to kill someone. Ha 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 ha. And everybody laughs thinking he's joking. The audience is laughing as well because they're in on the joke that actually he did try to kill someone the last time he drank, and it was a child. This little child who was his nemesis.
Showrunner Chris Sheridan certainly wanted to take full advantage of Tudyk's comedic talents, but he also wanted the series to explore what it means to be human.
It's a show to me about outsiders where everyone in one way or another doesn't feel like they belong in the group. And for Harry especially, it's sort of his journey to learn what it takes to belong and to gain humanity and feel part of something bigger than himself.
At first, I think they thought this show was going to be just a comedy, and it is. Chris Sheridan's writing is so hilarious, and then of course you add Alan Tudyk's acting and Corey Reynolds and Elizabeth Bowen and Alice Wetterland. They all are such phenomenal comedians that you have this beautiful world where you just expect it to be all comedy all the time. But what's really cool about this show, I think, is that each one of those characters also has a bit of a dark side.
Everybody's innocent until proven guilty, unless they're guilty.
So there's a dark undertone to this comedy, just because there's also a dark undertone to being a human being.
As with most comic book adaptations, the show diverges from the source material in key ways. For one, the alien's physical appearance is much more menacing in his TV form than in the comics. One of the boldest moves the producers did was change how Harry hides his true appearance. In the comics, Harry uses a form of telepathy to keep people from noticing his odd appearance. He then spends several years creating the persona of Dr. Harry Vanderspiegel. But on the television show, the alien murders Dr. Harry, mimics his appearance, and assumes his identity. It's a storytelling gambit that puts the pressure on Tudyk to make Harry a sympathetic character.
So I just wanted to say that I appreciate you helping us. You did a good job.
Hogan understands that different mediums demand different approaches. If there's one lesson we've learned during this golden age of comic book adaptations, it's that you don't have to be 100% faithful to the source material. TV series like The Flash and Arrow, as well as blockbuster films such as Captain America: Civil War, have been hugely successful despite taking major creative detours from the original comic stories.
You're never going to get an 100% faithful adaptation, and in a way, if you did, why bother? Because that's what the comic is. I think comics and movies stroke TV, they're different mediums and they have different strengths and they work in slightly different ways. So it's bound to be different.
Sometimes just feeling human is alien to me.
Yeah, me too.
I think if I feel anything about all of this, it's relief that it's actually something I can sit down and watch and I'm not sort of trying to hide under the sofa because it's so awful.
Fans of the comic book will be happy to see a few memorable moments make the jump from page to screen. Like a scene from the very first Resident Alien tale, the Welcome to Earth story arc.
Well, it was a real blast to see the opening in the pilot of, Harry in the boat and he turns around as the alien, which is exactly what happens in the comics.
Other changes fans of the Resident Alien comics will notice involve one of the key supporting characters. Sheriff Mike, played by Corey Reynolds, is a much different character than Chief Mike in the comics.
Thanks for getting him, Mike.
I told you to call me Big Black.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with that.
Sarah Tomko, who plays Asta, says the relationships between the people of Patience play a big role on Resident Alien.
I think humanity is a main theme. I think friendship is a very big theme in this show. Equality is actually a really big issue or theme in this show. You see it happen with Sheriff Mike and Deputy Liv.
All right, look, that's one creepy son of a bitch, right? That ain't just me, right? Y'all all see that, right?
Yeah, but it's okay for people to be a little bit different sometimes.
Man versus woman equality, authority equality. You see it with the nurse Asta and the doctor Harry and how he just comes in and she's like, I've been here for so long. Who are you? And why are you here?
I'm smarter than you.
What are you, 12?
Don't feel bad, it's just a fact. Once you accept it, you will stop fighting me.
You're kind of a dick.
You can expect several big-name guest stars during the first season, including Terry O'Quinn from Lost. The real casting coup, however, was landing Terminator and Beauty and the Beast icon Linda Hamilton to play the general in charge of the search for the mysterious alien.
Linda Hamilton is unbelievable. I mean, she's a movie star, and we were so lucky to get her. She has such presence when she's on the set, and she's not only an amazing actress, but frankly, mostly she's just like one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life.
From the time he first sat down to write Resident Alien a decade ago, Hogan had a feeling his offbeat story had a future in television.
Well, we did like 6 pages, I think, as part of the proposal. And I was about halfway through writing that, and I just thought, this feels like a TV show. And seriously, nothing I'd ever done before in comics, which is like 20 years worth, had ever felt like that.
After teaming up with Steve Parkhouse on the book, the duo then pitched Dark Horse publisher Mike Richardson. Hogan at that point was best known in the comics world for his work on the long-running British title 2000 AD.
I knew who Peter was. He had done some comics that I was aware of, and he called me and said he had this great idea, and I loved the idea. It's, stranger lives among us, and it was also a murder mystery. And the really unique thing about it was as he got more and more interested in the murder mystery, he became exposed to more and more people, increasing the risk to him of being found out. Meanwhile, the ship had been found, and so now Men in Black were looking for him.
Dark Horse went to work trying to sell the series to Hollywood almost immediately after agreeing to publish the comic. Hogan recalls having several false starts during the past 8 years.
Really, I mean, because I sold it to Dark Horse, and right from minute one, they thought, yes, this could, this thing has legs, it could well make it on TV or as a movie. So they were trying from day one to, find a home for this in Hollywood. I had various sort of odd conversations with various odd people over the years, and then they'd all just go away again. And eventually, it then began to sort of, gather speed, and then finally, a year or two later, it was all starting to actually happen. So it's been very odd. It's been a long wait. But Mike Richardson assures me that this was one of the quick ones.
During that time, comic book adaptations became Hollywood's most valuable commodity. Television has especially become hooked on comics. The CW's Arrowverse has provided an enviable blueprint on how to do small-screen superheroes. On streaming, shows like The Boys and The Umbrella Academy have proven the viability of less mainstream comics. But Resident Alien doesn't have superheroes. It doesn't have an extinction-level event as its premise, like The Walking Dead. It's a series that leans closer to the sublimely strange Doom Patrol more than any other current comic book TV series. For the show to succeed, the characters will have to carry the day. Hogan says conversations with Sheridan convinced him Resident Alien was in good hands. Still, the writer admits he had his doubts until he sat down to watch the pilot episode.
Yeah, I mean, I've had real kind of ups and downs with it. I wasn't sure it was going to turn out okay. And, and then you get sort of slightly cheered up by hearing, oh, it's Alan Tudyk. And you think, well, yeah, Alan's great. So, this should be good. And, but I was very nervous when I sat down to watch the pilot. After about 10 minutes, it won me over. I mean, they're doing different things. It is very different, and there's no denying that. But I don't really mind because it's really good. It's done really well. And the whole end product is enjoyable, which is kind of the best you can hope for, really.
Fans will get a chance to decide for themselves when Resident Alien debuts on SYFY in January. And with a 6th Resident Alien comic series coming in 2021, it looks like the good Dr. Vanderspiegel will be sticking around for quite a while.
Yeah, this is some bullshit.